Hello and welcome to another edition of Heavy Hands. I am your host, Connor. With me, as always, my dear friend Phil.
Yo.
What's up, Phil?
Not too much. Looking forward to an exciting fight night.
Yeah, one of the better fight night cards they put on in quite some time, I gotta say.
Yeah, this is a really solid headliner for a fight night.
Yeah. Wait, hold on a minute. UFC 318.
Oh.
Did they change how the naming convention for fight night cards, or $85?
Is it actually $85 now?
Yeah, I think so.
Jesus Christ.
I think it is. Not to mention that you still have to pay for ESPN Plus to have the privilege of then paying for the pay-per-view over here.
Yeah.
So
ESPN Plus,
that platform
continually degrading service.
Yeah, that platform where none of the fights even exist anymore in the library. Yeah.
Shambling on like a zombie.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, and how appropriate. Shambling on like a zombie, as perhaps our two heroes will be in this, what turns out to be a pay-per-view main event. Look, it's hard to complain about yet another fight between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. You know? It's been great before. Two beloved action heroes. Probably, I would assume, the last fight of Dustin Poirier's career. I mean, maybe not. He is an MMA fighter. Who knows if he'll be able to give up the addiction ever. But if it is, feels a very fitting conclusion. And in the legend building stage of Max Holloway's post-prime career, likewise, a tantalizing matchup. I do feel the cynicism of it more than I would like. You know?
Why is that?
Well, we have you know, I keep everything in the UFC now I'm seeing through the lens of oh shit, the people we're trying to sell our brand to actually are noticing that fewer and fewer people are engaging with this sport. I mean, this podcast sucks, but I don't know if you've noticed the numbers for our show are certainly lower than they typically are. Now
that can't be due to us.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's the UFC, but we're not the only ones being affected in that way. I just think engagement is down across the board for the UFC's product, because of, I assume, all the shit that they've been churning out. And, it seems pretty clear to me, a second pay-per-view in a month, right after one where they made a very concerted effort to highlight all of their most impressive rising talent and their youngest star. And so I look at UFC 317 and I'm like, that's everything everywhere Ilya at once, right? That's like a novel idea. Ilya Topuria is the real deal. People liked that. But you know what people really like? RoboCop reboot.
That's not true. People don't like the RoboCop reboot at all.
But that's what they thought. That's why they made it.
Yeah.
And that is a bit of how I feel looking at this. I'm like, if Ilya Topuria is the fresh IP to show that we still have some creative juice in us, then this is the cynical way to just get people to watch. Cause it's for, their fake BMF belt. It is something I want to watch. Again, it works. But it is what else do we do with these guys? Do we create more future contenders using them? I guess, let's just have them fight each other again. People will pay for this, right?
I mean, I guess from a less cynical perspective, it is also, Dustin Poirier is retiring. He has told us that he is retiring.
Yeah. I kind of thought he was retired already.
Yeah. Let's, what fight does he want at this point?
Yeah.
He's not getting to fight for the belt. Who does he actually want to fight? If he wants to fight Max Holloway again, let's do it.
One more go with Max Holloway. Yeah.
Yeah. So the UFC, you know, as cynical and horrific as it is, it also does occasionally give its props to the people who have held it up, even especially when that kind of crosses over with the opportunity to be cynical.
Yeah, like Anthony Smith.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely true.
Do you think Jelly Roll will be there at this event?
Maybe we'll get another amazing cover.
Yeah, like I said, I just, that's in the background. I'm not at all displeased to have this fight, and I think I agree. It feels more than appropriate and called for both of these guys at this stage in their career. Like, I kind of wish, this sort of thing would happen more often. Like, on the one hand, yeah, the role of an aging fighter is to be ground into grist to feed the next generation and to build their reputations. But also, like, this is just a legends match. Remember this? This was fun. These guys are older. They're not as good as they were then. They don't have much time left. But let's see what they can make of that again. And compared to the likes of like Shogun Little Nog, remember that? When they did the Shogun Little Nog 3? I'll take this.
Hey, actually that fight was actually not too bad as well.
Yeah, exactly. It worked even then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, good matchups kind of remain good matchups as a rule. But this is one between two truly legendary fighters, who I don't think are quite that degraded. Although saying that, I then remember how much farther Shogun had to fall. And I think, was he still in his prime when he fought Little Nog for the third time?
He definitely was not.
But it could get worse. And it did.
Certainly did. Yeah, I don't love this one, I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of these fighters, but I feel like the main factor which makes this one hard to pick for me, or at least hard to predict, is that I feel like Dustin Poirier is more washed than Max Holloway. And I don't know quite how much more washed he is than Max Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
I thought against Islam,
mm-hmm.
I thought he looked crafty. I thought he looked well prepared. I thought it was one of the sort of best tactical performances of his career.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed locked in as much as he could, and made it an incredibly tough fight against a very troubling style matchup. And I also thought he looked slow and cumbersome, even by the standards of Dustin Poirier, who has been, like, let's be honest, a quite slow and cumbersome fighter for some time now.
Yeah.
But I did not think he looked quick. And the same thing was sort of true going in the other direction against Benoit Saint-Denis. Where Benoit Saint-Denis was not a particularly troubling style matchup. And Dustin Poirier just kind of won because he was always going to.
Yeah.
You know, you could see Saint-Denis flying out over his feet, and the counterpunch is getting closer and closer. And even though Saint-Denis was getting, ground control and takedowns and landing his own strikes and working in the clinch, you could just see that, like, this is definitely going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, he's going to flame out.
Yep. And so, yeah, I just feel like he's just definitely, like, reasonably degraded. And the difference with Max Holloway is that I feel like Max Holloway is has the opportunity for a very brief, renaissance up at lightweight. I mean, he looked great against, a very bad Justin Gaethje, but he still looked great. He looked quick and powerful, and like he's fully filled out into his frame as a lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would love to see Max in matchups against, Arman Tsarukyan, or could you imagine like Paddy Pimblett or whatever,
Oh my goodness.
And who else is like ranked who isn't super old in this? Just Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, whatever.
I think they did that one.
Oh yeah. Sorry, what am I saying? Yeah, who else is ranked in this division that he hasn't fought that isn't incredibly old?
Charles Oliveira. He has fought him, but a long
He
time
has
ago
fought
at
him.
featherweight.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, so I would like to see him doing that. And this time, this now sort of puts a reasonable amount of pressure on the old adage that like style matchups don't change, because Dustin Poirier has 2 wins over Max Holloway.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, has the fact that he just appears to be like genuinely more washed than Max changed that? Because that can happen. You can simply outlast
Certainly
the people who are your bad style matchups. For a particularly dismal version of this, various dismal versions of this, you can look at Andrei Arlovsky waiting for Tim Sylvia to get extremely fat and depressed. And you can look at Tito Ortiz knocking out Chuck Liddell when he was 103.
137 years old.
Yep.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah, and to be clear, like when we say style matchups don't change, like what we mean by that is style matchups don't change approximately 60% of the time.
Yeah.
Like it is statistically significant. There's a real trend there, I think, but it's not like, it's not the most reliable thing in the world to say. I mean, the first fight was already close enough. The second fight, rather. Between Holloway and Poirier was already close enough that it's not unbelievable to imagine that Max might be able to just. Also, I strongly suspect he will conduct it differently, although I wonder what that means. Max Holloway has become a different Max Holloway in the last few years. Right? He's no longer just drowning people with pace and complications and just, finding a moment where he can grab the initiative and then never, ever, ever letting it go. The Max Holloway who fought Justin Gaethje, who fought Ilia Topuria, and given how the other legends Ilia has fought fared against him, that one has already aged quite well, I have to say. These were a more defensively minded, more patient, lower output, and most notably, much less forward-oriented version of Max Holloway. Maybe that's the thing that just gives him like a real speed advantage over Dustin Poirier, who I agree has definitely been slowing down considerably. On the other hand, for all that I have praised Dustin Poirier's surprisingly crafty and clever counterpunching over the years, you will recall that Poirier Holloway 2 was a fight in which the guy who was going backwards was losing by default.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, how good has Max Holloway gotten at being back-foot evasive man? And yeah, taking into account how degraded Dustin might be, how much do you expect that to sway things?
Yeah. I mean, so a lot of the the success from Dustin was his ability to chase Max out of the pocket after combinations and then just stay on him. He would just, Max would retreat out after an exchange, and then Poirier would simply shift after him and just continue cracking him.
Extend the
and then
exchange.
he would be stuck in, and then they would just get stuck in and then Max would do his classic thing of just biting down and swinging, but unlike almost anyone else, Poirier was actually good in the pocket and would simply continue working and continue piling up extremely hard punches that even Max Holloway could not, like, fully shake off.
Yeah.
And so once he drove him back, he would simply continue driving him back, like you said. So, I mean, I guess the question is, like, I trust Poirier to be able to physically chase people down.
I mean, that's a good question.
Like, he's very slow now.
Yeah. It looks like the man's ankles and hips and knees hurt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to some extent, I've got to, right? It's not that hard. Like, again, he wasn't a nimble guy in the past. He simply has to step forward, feint the right hand, follow up with the left, and then just continue the exchange once he's there. But it's, as you said, like, the margins are not very... were thinner than people remember in that fight. It was very close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just that Poirier got all of the really, really big moments, and he got several of them very early in the fight. It was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So the memory is of Poirier dominating. And in terms of damage, like, yeah, he dished out the lion's share. But those moments mostly stopped coming until I think it was a knee, sort of a chance clinch knee that, like, split Holloway open in round 4, was it maybe? After he had kind of taken over momentum-wise, but then got badly hurt once again. But otherwise, it definitely had a trend that you might expect from classic Max Holloway fights, minus the huge amount of damage he took, where Poirier was not able to keep up the pace, was allowing himself to be cornered more and more, and was getting hurt himself more frequently as the fight went on. Yeah, definitely close.
Yeah.
But
plus
like
the fact that, like, Max is, he simply looks bigger now.
Yeah, definitely.
I think ever since the second Volk fight, he has clearly just bulked up, and he's obviously going to be doing that. He's not going to be notably bigger unless he gets on some truly spectacular gear.
Mm-hmm.
But he just looks like a lightweight now.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm expecting him to be less bullyable.
Yeah. But do you expect him to bully Poirier? I mean, that's the real question. Like,
no, I don't think I necessarily think I do.
I mentioned the Gaethje and the Poirier fights, but really it's been quite a while that Max Holloway has not really been keen to swarm people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think, is the last time he did it? He did it to an extent against Yair. But he was kind of made to do it.
Yep.
He didn't come into
he just couldn't give Yair his range, so he had to stay on top of him.
Yeah.
And that was, again, like, quite an ugly fight.
Right. That was right after the Calvin Kattar fight. And he came in there, and that was, of course, well, to be fair, another one where he didn't really start off swarming, but then ultimately ended up drowning Calvin Kattar for 20 minutes straight. Then he fought Yair, and after that is the third Volkanovski fight, which is notably a sort of hesitant, ineffective Max Holloway on the pressure performance.
Mm-hmm.
And the Volkanovski fight, which came before Kattar, was a notably not pressure performance from Holloway. He was like counterpunching and kicking. So I would say going back to at least 2020, Max Holloway has at least been toying with the approach that now I think is just the way he approaches fights in general.
Yep.
And
yeah, he just wants to snipe more.
Yeah.
It's like 1, 2, maybe 3 punches. Gone is the absolute blizzards that he used to try and bury people under.
Right. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time visualizing what this fight is really going to look like, if I'm honest.
I think it might look actually a little bit like the Gaethje fight. I think it will definitely look more competitive. I think elements of that style matchup don't go away. Just, the fact that that Dustin doesn't need his feet to defend against Max.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to good footwork because he's got his weird high guard, so he can just pick off shots. He's still going to be able to throw in the pocket and counterpunch and so on. But I think Max, being a better and more diligent counterpuncher, may not have favored him as a style in against some of the people that he's fought, most notably perhaps Volkanovski. But the thing about Poirier's sort of blitzes is that, like the Jan Blachowicz blitz,
mm-hmm.
they are gambles.
Oh, yes.
And a more diligent counterpuncher, when he wades forward and throws just one of these big punches, is just going to hit him. Admittedly. This was pretty much exactly what we said when he fought Conor McGregor. We were like, well, I would love to pick Dustin Poirier, but he's fighting Conor McGregor. He is eventually going to bum rush him, and Conor is going to probably clean his clock.
Mm-hmm. Instead, he got beat up a bit, but then sort of started just outboxing him off the back foot.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, partially because he simply didn't need to go after Conor like that.
Yeah.
Also because he could tear him up with low kicks.
Yeah.
But so I do worry that that sort of wedge that he used to bring himself back into the fight, which was chasing Max on the retreats, is perhaps not going to be there as much as it was before. A, because Max is learned to be a counterpuncher. B, because Max is simply going to be faster than he was. That Poirier is going to, that all of those parts that he used to initiate, basically, long protracted sequences which essentially won him the fight,
yep,
may just be kind of walled off. If he cannot physically get after Max without getting punished,
yeah,
I don't know how this fight looks for him.
Yeah.
There's definitely, there's moments where Gaethje, came after Max and threw in combination, and he's still hitting.
Yep.
It's still Max Holloway. He's looking for counterpunches more, and he's more diligent about covering his retreats and so on. But he's still Max Holloway. He's not, he doesn't have a varied and nuanced defensive repertoire that he's going to when he's on the back foot.
Yeah.
Poirier will definitely still be able to get him if he throws in combination, but is he going to be able to get him enough? And is he going to be able to translate that into fight-winning damage? I just don't think so. I mean, again, I just worry about Dustin. I got to be honest. He just looks a little bit on the wash side, and a very good strategic performance and a very good style matchup have masked that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the other thing that's masked it is was also a significant factor in their second fight, which is Poirier's willpower, which can't really be quantified.
Yes.
Because as I said, that fight, I keep thinking of it as their first fight. The fight you remember between Holloway and Poirier sort of acquires the shape of a typical Max Holloway win, and Poirier is looking horribly gassed. and having to take significant time off where he's just getting pelted with like 10 shots in a row. And against that kind of onslaught, by the way, even if his defense has improved since then, it's not, that kind of defense is just not proof against a classic Max Holloway combination anyway.
Yeah.
But he just refuses to lose and keeps just summoning the will to either find a big counter in a combination or, find that and then the further will to chase Holloway down and land a shot that really matters. This was a significant factor against Benoit Saint-Denis. It was a significant factor against Islam Makhachev, in addition to the very good strategic preparation he made for that fight. It just took a supreme level of concentration and stubbornness for Dustin Poirier to fight, to give Islam Makhachev as much trouble as he gave him.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't lost that, as far as I can tell. There's been some pretty shitty performances from Dustin Poirier, even in the golden years of his career. Like the fight with Dan Hooker, that's not a good Dustin Poirier fight. He's swinging like a fucking maniac. He's reckless. He looks like a mess, and he gasses really quickly, but he just refuses to lose.
And he's never been shut out of a fight in the way that Max was against Volkanovski.
Certainly not. Yeah.
He's always, as you said, he's always just found a way to bring himself back into it. He will just go after it. Whereas in the Volkanovski fight, I'm not to say Max gave up, but there just wasn't anything he could do.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I feel what you're saying, and you have kind of swayed me to feel inclined to pick Holloway here as well. I agree. I think of these two guys, he is the one who is a little closer to his prime physical abilities. He is the one, I think, most recently who has done the work to adapt to the fact that he is an aging fighter who has to do things a little differently. But I do worry that maybe style matchups just don't change. And
I hope they don't. I hope this is just another banger. Whoever wins, I would like it to be just, another all-time classic war. Where you look at it afterwards and you're like, man, both of these guys are great. It would. That's one of the reasons why I don't like it, because I worry that if Max Holloway wins a kind of Justin Gaethje type fight, it takes some of the savor off this rivalry. I mean, again, I wouldn't necessarily count it so much, not in the same way that you don't really think of the last fight between Chuck and Tito as being part of their rivalry.
Right.
But yeah, I would love it to just be, they just go to war again. I'm just not sure that it will be that.
The thing is the reason I bring up Dustin's character is that I think if it is a fight where Max Holloway is sort of strategically beating him, it will have to become a war again. I think Dustin will insist on it happening. As Justin Gaethje finally did late in that fight and in a very limited burst.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think in a weird way, Justin Gaethje made that more complicated than it needed to be. To give himself the best chances of winning, he needed to do a lot more of that a lot sooner. Just fuck what happens. How good is this guy's evasive footwork really? Let's find out and get after him. And I think Dustin Poirier has proven many, many times that he will do that if it's the thing that's needed to win.
Yeah. I hope that, I just hope that that's the kind of fight we get.
Yeah, me too. Well, of course.
I think it's likely enough to be worth hoping for. But I'm kind of going to sadness hedge it, and I'm going to say that I think this is going to be a fun fight. It's going to be better than, I don't think it can be as bad as the Gaethje fight, but I think it will be somewhere between the Gaethje fight and Dustin Max 2.
Yeah, I think I'll take Max as well. It's the foot speed loss, I think, for Poirier that really concerns me, supposing this is a fight where he does have to chase Holloway down, but also I just think it might end up that he's just willing to walk through whatever and test that sooner and more intently than Justin Gaethje managed to do. And I don't think he's ever...
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I wouldn't have expected that kind of performance from Gaethje before that fight either. That was a particularly, defeated-looking Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
Maybe it was tougher to fight that version of Max than I gave it credit for. It's not like Gaethje looked like a shot man in his successive fights. So,
yeah, it just goes to show that there's no fighter that's kind of aggressive and crazy and has enough willpower that they cannot be shut out of a fight. Whether it's Volt Max 3 or Gaethje versus Max himself.
Yep. Someday it will happen to Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, no one's exciting and aggressive and enough that they can't be controlled out of a fight.
Yeah.
And simply one of the things that comes along with just being good is that sometimes you run out of ideas.
Yep. Yeah, I'll take Max too. I'll take Max too.
And I feel like I gotta.
All right. Well, let's take our first break there. When we come back, this is where the fight night part of the card happens. And if you think of it as a fight night, it's really not so bad. It's pretty good.
Yeah, solid.
Just steal it. Don't pay for it.
$85. That is obscene.
That might be for HD. It might still be $75 for standard definition pay-per-view. I love how they still insist on doing this upcharge for HD as if.
Oh yeah. Because bandwidth and internet is so hard to find nowadays.
They're shooting it on HD cameras. That's the footage. They're just compressing it for a lower rate.
Christ.
But anyway, we've got Paulo Costa, who is also apparently still in the UFC. He's taking on Roman Kopylov in the main event, co-main event rather. Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez is happening. I don't know if we're going to talk about it. I'm more interested in Patricio Pitbull's second UFC appointment against the far more forgiving style matchup of Dan Ige. I think that's a pretty cool fight. I'm looking forward to that one. And Phil's favorite career criminal, Michael Johnson. I like Michael Johnson too. What the hell? Can't help it. He's fighting Daniel Zellhuber in the main card opener. I think we'll try to hit several of those after this. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this week's Heavy Hands. If you like what you hear, please consider pledging to support the podcast on Patreon. Patreon is basically continuous crowdfunding. You sign up to contribute a certain amount per month to help us with production costs and the like, and in return you get rewards ranging from a mention on the Heavy Hands website to a question or topic of your choice being discussed on the show. We have a lot more in the works to reward you for your help, and we appreciate every contribution. No amount is too small. Just head over to patreon.com and find how you can help out the only show dedicated to the finer points of face punching. Now let's get back to it. Welcome back to Heavy Hands. We have been hard at work researching the rest of this undercard. We've come up with some interesting theories on what to expect between Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov. And if it sounds like perhaps we spent the last 25 minutes talking about Death Stranding and Phil showing me the scene where one character says, "Let's run like Mario and Princess Peach," that's a coincidence.
Yep. Notably something not either of those characters are famous for doing.
Running? What do you mean?
Sonic the Hedgehog is famous for running.
Oh. Maybe she just said it because she was trying to get the pipe. Now there's a Mario reference. See?
Oh my god.
Now that's a Mario reference.
Stop. To be fair, in some ways, maybe an improvement on Hideo Kojima's dialogue.
Yeah.
No, we're here to be professionals. We're here to talk about Roman Kopylov against Bruno Ferreira.
Yeah, we've decided that's who's going to step in to replace Paulo Costa. I mean, I don't know. When's the last time Paulo Costa withdrew from a fight? He made it to the last one.
Did he? I can't even remember what that was.
Well, interesting you say that. It was Sean Strickland, and you say did he? And I suppose...
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
That is a fair question. I'm not sure.
Yes. Who turned up and what was left behind?
Mm-hmm. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Paulo Costa has got to be one of the strangest, most enigmatic, somebody who seems like he would be very simple to understand, as reflected through the events of his career, is like a mystery to me.
Yeah, as I've said like multiple times, people keep trying to like recreate Rocky when they're making MMA movies. Mm-hmm. They should make an MMA movie out of Paulo Costa.
Yeah, just a real life biopic of Paulo Costa's career.
Yep,
would be fascinating.
And just like a lens of the like fragility of masculinity.
Yeah,
and even about how even if you are like giant and handsome and muscular and porn obsessed and everything that people would want you to be, you can still end up in these completely insane situations where you're drinking wine before fighting Marvin Vittori or whatever.
Porn obsessed?
Or yeah,
is that an admirable quality that people would want you to be?
You know what I mean? He's like a very just a very horny dude. Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. Almost so performatively horny, I wonder if he's not, in fact, asexual.
No, I think that part of him is probably relatively straightforward. But yeah, he's just like a fascinating figure and does appear to be, very much on the downslope at this moment. And really, it's a struggle to see, whether he's there because he knows this is simply the best money he can make at this point.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because he clearly used to love fighting back in the Yoel Romero fight.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he clearly does not love it at all anymore.
Right. I mean, he literally like tasted his first professional defeat in a soul-crushing performance in which he was made to both feel and act like a coward against Israel Adesanya, and I don't think he has enjoyed one moment of time he has spent in the cage since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still very physically tough and still can sort of force his way into like fighting hard in a sort of increasingly lion-hearty, bitter kind of way.
Yes.
Like, it's like, God damn, I guess I'm just going to do this then. But, yeah, not enjoying the experience at all.
He's the guy who needs a special message from Jelly Roll, now that you mentioned the Lionheart connection.
He really does, yeah. That's going to be the turning point in Act 3 of the blockbuster.
He gets a phone call in the corner after round 2 from Jelly Roll himself.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Paulo, I always believed in you, man. And you should believe in yourself. And then he sings a harrowing rendition of Don't Stop Believing.
And that plays whilst you see like Paulo Costa standing up from his stool with like fire in his eyes. It's just he stands up in slow motion and gets ready for the comeback.
Believing, girl, I got this feeling that, just like a shittier version of it.
But yeah, so he's up against Roman Kopylov, a quite flawed but very cool fighter.
Yes.
And whatever he does, it has to be the exact opposite of whatever he thought he was doing against Sean Strickland.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. Yeah, go on.
There's definitely a way to get to Roman Kopylov. To get inside and bullying him, potentially take him down. He is not a good grappler. If Paulo Costa decides he's going to fight Roman Kopylov on the back foot, it's not going to be like the Sean Strickland fight.
Yeah.
Where he's just sort of slowly, miserably losing. He's going to get, badly beaten up.
Oh, yeah. No question. Yeah, I mean, the retreating footwork is the historical weakness of Roman Kopylov's as a striker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has, he's certainly gained some comfort and the presence of mind to actually find some punishing counters in that mode. But I still think it's the area where you see him look worst in his fights.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, there's a version of a classic version of Paulo Costa who could obliterate the likes of Roman Kopylov.
Yeah, just replicate the Uriah Hall fight.
Mm-hmm. Even the Romero fight, just...
Yeah, just keep going after him, stay on top of him, keep jabbing, and go to the body and eventually just wear him down and break him.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero faith that Paulo Costa's going to do this.
Absolutely zero. Yeah.
More to the point, how much faith do I have that Bruno Ferreira can do it? If and when Paulo Costa doesn't turn up. I like his chances more. He still does tend to wait for his shot, but I believe that he's going to throw more.
Yeah.
But yeah, assuming we actually do get Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov, and he actually turns up. It seems like an absolutely horrendous style matchup for the version of Paulo Costa that we've seen.
Pretty much.
And yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen him be consistently aggressive since before that Israel Adesanya fight. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The fight against Vittori, he was on the back foot a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Vittori, very aggressive, and basically forced Costa backwards. And Whittaker, I think he was a bit more aggressive, but again, didn't exactly force the issue in the way that he used to.
Certainly not. I mean, the most notable thing in that fight was the surprising effectiveness of Costa's jab.
Yeah.
Which usually a thing I like to see in a fighter, but with not enough to back it up and very little idea of how to transition from scoring that shot to actually winning the fight.
But Kopylov is someone who's gotten, I think, just a bit more physically capable, has been throwing just more volume, is just a sharp, dangerous combination puncher. Just think he's gonna tab Costa up, right?
Yeah, and a deadly kicker in particular. I suspect that is really the thing that has most troubled, given that fight with Robert Whittaker, for example. Whittaker, has his head kicks, of course, but mostly a boxer. A jab first blitzing karate boxer, if you will. And that was a matchup where, Costa could find his footing and get his jab in, and, he clearly has, some positional boxing footwork at his disposal. The kicks, I think, make him extremely anxious, though, on the back foot. And I think, watching back his fight with Sean Strickland, I literally think it is those hideous Sean Strickland teeps that make him most uncomfortable in the fight.
Yeah.
They're, totally ineffective. They do no damage at all. But there are long stretches of that fight where his eyes are just trained on Sean Strickland's legs. Like, he does not want to get teeped by Sean Strickland. Mm-hmm. And the kicks were a nightmare for him against Israel Adesanya. So much so that he went into that fight with a plan of spending as much time at kicking range as possible, counterintuitively hoping to defend all of them. And, I just think Paulo Costa is, I don't know. I just think he's done. I just don't think he knows what he's doing.
Yep, pretty much. Again, a totally winnable style matchup for him at a very different point in his life. No indication that he's actually capable of doing that anymore. I think the main thing is that because Kopylov is actually going to beat him up, it will be more likely to drive him into the bitter mode where he's actually trying to do things than the Strickland fight, which left him in just a constant low-level hum of misery.
Yeah.
He will eventually get to the point that prophetically Luke Rockhold came to in their fight, where Luke Rockhold was just, sourly rubbing his bloody face into Paulo Costa and basically saying, "You will become me,"
screaming "fuck you" at himself, but also at Paulo Costa as he swings punches and gets horribly countered.
Yeah. Paulo Costa, there's a good chance he will find that moment because Roman Kopylov will be beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And maybe that will actually turn it into a fun fight.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll land something and send Kopylov going backwards and suddenly realize that he can do things.
Many unfortunate women, I'm sure, have had the experience of gazing into the void of Luke Rockhold's eyes over the years.
Yeah.
But few have encountered the gaze, the void gazing back quite so pointedly as Paulo Costa did in that, as you say, prophetic meeting. So that's the co-main event of this pay-per-view card. I suppose I get it from the sense of Roman Kopylov is a cool, exciting, interesting striker, and this is nominally an opportunity to build him into a contender.
Yep.
In a division that will very soon desperately need fresh contenders, if not already being there. So hey.
Yeah. It's just they got to get some more people out there, and there's just you get a fight a year from Paulo Costa, if that, and I don't think he's going to be doing even that for that much longer.
Yeah, I was going to say we can hope that Kopylov wins. It did occur to me though that they might be in a position, because Paulo Costa is well liked and well known, at least in the MMA world, that he could win this one fight and they give him to Dricus. And that would be very funny. Can you imagine the torture that Paulo Costa would experience being out-chatted by Dricus?
Yeah, that is the kind of stuff that would make it such a great film.
Yeah.
Just him having to face all these other incarnations of masculinity.
Yeah.
A man even more meat-headed than him in Vittori, and a man even chattier.
Yeah.
Dricus.
Of course, he already had a man that surely in his mind he thinks he should have been shoving in a locker do simulated homosexual sex acts on him in Israel Adesanya. Yes. There's a lot
of course. There's a
lot of interesting ground to cover in the Paulo Costa story.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen. Whoever's doing the Safdie brother who's doing the Smashing Machine movie, do Paulo Costa next. That's a modern figure.
Yeah.
Who is ripe for adaptation.
Yep. Get it done.
Have a significant arc in the second act where his hairline is receding. And really take us inside his head. How does he feel about that?
Inside and on top of it.
Yeah.
Just like a David Fincher-esque, pan through the hairs at close range.
Yeah, one of these robotic sort of artificial camera moves. super close CG, Paulo Costa's thinning hair going through it like a forest on the boundaries of a recent volcano eruption, you know, just like, we should open on that. In fact, it should be the opening shot of the movie. We think we're looking at this blasted landscape. We pan out to reveal it's Paulo Costa's hairline.
Cinematic gold, I tell you.
All right, let's take another break. And when we come back, we're going to try to, I think, cram in possibly 2 more main card fights. Those being Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Ige, and maybe Michael Johnson, Daniel Zellhuber as well after this.
Financial support is fantastic, but there are other, even easier ways to support Heavy Hands. Perhaps the best is by spreading the word. We know our fan base. You're all cool, popular people with serious social media presences. You're tastemakers and trendsetters. Okay, there are 1 or 2 of you that don't fit that description. You know who you are, but no matter what, you can always help us out by telling folks about the show. And you can also give us a positive rating and review on iTunes and things like that. We rely on word of mouth and positive feedback to grow and improve, so thank you very much for your time and your help. Now, back to the show.
All right, Dan Ige, Patricio Pitbull Freire, his second appointment in the UFC, after having reminded us all just what the UFC level really means in his debut against Yair Rodriguez. A fight which earned Yair Rodriguez a shot at the title. Again. We knew, you know, we knew going in that just looked like a really rough style matchup for Patricio. I think I know just as confidently that this looks like a much better style matchup. I'm still not certain that he's going to win it. I still have my questions about where Patricio is at, and I think he is certainly at the point in his career where things can be going pretty well for much of the fight and still go disastrously wrong at some point. But I don't think there's much arguing that Dan Ige is just not as much of a stylistic nightmare as Yair Rodriguez was.
No, absolutely not, especially not for modern Patricio.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been worried about Patricio for a long time, in terms of the general drop-off of his volume and his, you know, his transformation into like an old man counterpuncher.
Yeah.
Who just tries to be as absolutely conservative as possible. And yeah, I just find myself wondering, like, I mean, obviously, Rodriguez is in some ways a rubber hits the road moment, but it's also, you know, it's such a horrific style matchup for that particular approach that it renders all questions of how, you know, good Patricio is at this moment moot. But the other thing is, like, how much do I trust Patricio to win rounds against people, even against like good style matchups at this point? He's really old.
Yeah. To put some numbers on it, he is 38 years old, and in a career that stretches all the way back to 2004. He has been fighting for 21 years at this point.
Yep. And he's been, you know, despite the Rodriguez thing, he's been effectively controlled by Sergio Pettis, mostly a like Poirier tweener who flits between flyweight and bantamweight. So, and who's struggled massively against the size differences in, from bigger opponents like, say, Rob Font. So yeah, it wasn't a good look. But on the other hand, Dan Ige is going to give Patricio exactly the kind of fight and the kind of punches that he wants.
Yes.
He is going to give him exactly the chance to land counters that Patricio looks for. His punch. Patricio has in these kind of situations. He has very good defense. When he's used to and understands his opponent, he can. He can be very difficult to hit. His second fight against AJ McKee, he fights it at a low pace, but it doesn't matter because he's landing all the significant shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I want to believe in Patricio because I don't want to think of him as coming to the UFC in his, at the moment when he's just done, and all he gets to be used for is for the UFC brass to briefly indulge themselves. They put one over on the competition once again, despite the fact that everyone knows that those battles are long dead.
Just for Dana White to experience the closest thing to an erection he has in years, instantly getting a headache, of course.
Yeah.
And the
showed those guys.
The tinnitus flares up. The tinnitus flares up horribly. The blood pressure just can't handle it. But yeah, I share your sentiments. The fact that I don't want it doesn't mean that it might not happen, though. Look, Dane Ige is historically not great coming forward. And not great in particular because he doesn't have any good ideas of how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He had that fight with Bryce Mitchell, for example. Mitchell's I know it, and we all enjoyed it so much, and he looked like a joke against Jean Silva, and otherwise his results have not really panned out, but Mitchell is a difficult guy to fight.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of varying, pretty well-connected shit to worry about when you're fighting him. But this was nonetheless a fight where, as it started out, Dan Ige just absolutely had his number as a striker, and could not figure out how to do anything except wing gigantic overhand lefts at him. It really just took all the adjustment it took for Bryce Mitchell to stop getting walloped was to recognize that the same thing was hitting him over and over. And Dan Ige went full Gray Maynard in his fixation on making that happen. And it became a fight where, he had to come forward to keep winning, or at least so he thought. That's what he convinced himself. And he just, he looks like a really crude fighter when he's forced to do that. It's a far cry from his deftness as a counterpuncher, which is really something. And I think we know that Patricio Pitbull is essentially at a Michael Venom Page place in his career where I think he's perfectly satisfied for a fight to suck.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that Ige is not happy with that. He will always go after his opponents. He will never sit on the back foot and wait for them to come to him, whereas Patricio is willing to do that to the extent that he was able to have just a completely miserable fight where he lost every single round.
Right. And that's why I point out the Bryce Mitchell fight in particular. I think that was very much an occasion where Ige really could have gotten away with just not doing so much. He was in a winning position, and he couldn't figure out how to just kind of nurture the advantage. He had to keep crushing and keep building, and ended up causing himself to lose the fight because of it.
Yeah.
Becoming very obvious in his unnecessary desperation to go out there and win big. So
yeah, and this is, I think, one of the differences between Ige and, say, Sergio Pettis, despite the fact that Ige is much bigger. Sergio Pettis can and will control a fight.
Yes.
And Dan Ige has literally never controlled a fight.
Right.
He's there to just give you guaranteed bangers every single time. He's the Brad Pickett of his division.
Yeah. If you come after him, he's going to land some beautiful counters and get into some wild exchanges. And if you back off, he is going to lunge after you, trying to take your head off.
Yeah. And so I do kind of want to... I think I'm just going to pick Patricio here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's silly because he's very old.
I know.
And he'll probably look very bad. But, yeah, I think the style matchup's just good enough.
Yeah, I have a terrible feeling about it, but I can't escape the same conclusion that stylistically, it's just like, I think Patricio's going to sucker Dan Ige into a fight that's just bad for him.
Yeah. I just think, like, he's gotten really good at that very specific kind of fight. And there's not many MMA fighters who can shut people out on the back foot, but like very good fighters out on the back foot. But Patricio is one of them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously also like a very good wrestler and so on. I don't think that Ige, even should he go for a takedown, will find anything there. Yeah, I just think it's a chance for Patricio to look good, which will make it all the more cruel when he gets knocked out 2 minutes in. But yes, I'm going to pick Patricio.
Or even if he wins, all the more cruel when he is therefore thrust into a different matchup where he loses horribly.
That's the thing, though. I don't think there's anyone out there that's as bad as Yair. I don't think there's anyone that he could fight that would be where his approach would be as suicidal. Like, I wouldn't favor him against, like, Ivluev, for example, but it wouldn't be as insanely stupid to have that style as it would be against Yair.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think Dan Ige is, I think, one of the few guys in this division that I would entertain picking Patricio over at this point, if I'm being honest. Like, even agreeing.
Yeah, but he's not gonna. I'm just saying, like, there's no fight where he's gonna look as miserably bad.
Yeah. Where he's just
as he did against
Yair.
Like, even if he was up against Jean Silva, I mean, maybe he would just get instantly KO'd. Who knows? But also, like, Jean Silva isn't really the kind of guy who's
he'll let some stuff out.
Who makes Patricio look bad either.
Yeah,
I would definitely favor Jean Silva.
Diego Lopez would walk into at least one brutal counter left hook before knocking Patricio out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything as horrendous as the Yair matchup on the table.
Yeah.
The worst is behind us, he said, full of confidence.
So there you go.
Oh God, I've just guaranteed he's going to like break his leg on a check now, haven't I?
Oh yeah, we didn't even think about that. Just the injuries, which he has suffered a few weird ones in recent memory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here we go. We're setting ourselves up
locked in
for a huge disappointment. Let's talk about, speaking of old guys, we also have Michael Johnson. This one at least, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to give the UFC any credit here, especially because we just talked about the cruel machinations behind like a fight like Pitbull Rodriguez. But I did just say, like, that I think this is a somewhat forgiving matchup for him. It's not. What's that?
For Johnson?
No, for Pitbull. Ige was.
Yeah.
Johnson Zellhuber is much more of a typically cynical kind of piece of matchmaking, where it's like Michael Johnson is being used the way old fighters get used.
Yep.
To give Daniel Zellhuber a probably surprisingly tough fight, but a meaningful bounce back win after losing that fight to Esteban Ribovic.
Yep. Yeah, I think Michael Johnson's going to land a few of his like weird like duck-footed punching combinations and he's going to look all right, maybe. And very quickly, like, Zellhuber is just going to drown him.
Yeah. If MMA fighters had as much negotiating power as boxers, and Michael Johnson could somehow write it into the contract that Daniel Zellhuber had to wear, that both of them had to wear like swimming flippers.
Yeah.
I think Michael Johnson could win this fight.
Yeah.
That's just his default setting. As it is, look, Zellhuber is, he's a little bit of an Ige-like for me, as he is a classically frustrating fringe contender. You would really like him to be a version of himself all the time, which in reality only shows up for at most 8 minutes in each fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because Zellhuber is a pretty all-around good boxer at his best. Good footwork, excellent jab, really nice, sneaky shot selection with the combinations that flow off of that jab. But a lot of the time, he is really, really prone to just waiting on his opponent. And letting huge amounts of time pass where he is really doing nothing to control the fight. And I don't know. He has to like learn his opponent's patterns through attrition. He's like a slow paced Carlos Condit.
Oh God.
Yes.
I've just realized he's going to be terrible. Wait a minute. How does he look against southpaws? Because I've just realized he's going to look terrible, isn't he?
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that's a fair point. Because he's
talking a jab-centric fighter
yeah.
who sometimes has weird portions of giant inactivity. You know what this sounds like?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
His opponent put the other leg in front, and then he was like, "Wait, I can't do anything anymore."
Yeah, I'm trying to glean what the portions of the Rubovich fight when Rubovich was southpaw looked like to answer that question. Not sure that's a
not very much of it. It's almost all orthodox as far as I can remember, and hence an incredible banger for the vast majority of the fight.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's actually going to be like a surprisingly pedestrian fight then, because I don't know how he's going to fare.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. To find him against the southpaw.
Yeah, I'm scanning his record, trying to think if any of the guys I know are notably southpaws, and I don't think any of them are.
No. Giagos is orthodox. Anata is orthodox. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. He's very lead hand heavy, Daniel Zellhuber. Not that he doesn't have a good right hand and a good right uppercut, but the jabs and the left hooks are really his building shots for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting point. I don't know. I mean, he is 26 years old compared to Michael Johnson's how old is Michael Johnson now? 39.
39, yeah.
Michael Johnson is 5'10" to Zellhuber's 6'1".
Yep.
Maybe, you'd like to think that at least having a substantial height and reach advantage would make the jab feel more available no matter what the opponent's stance is, because it's still your longest weapon, and the open stance problem of like foot traffic in the way shouldn't be as much of a barrier. I don't know.
But then you watch some MMA.
Yeah. The thing is, Michael Johnson, I might tease you for having had a soft spot for him for a very long time, but at this point, it's hard for me not to join you in that because he is one of these fighters who is almost certainly, like, if it was almost anyone else, you would say he should be really, really bad at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very long career. He's very old for an MMA fighter, particularly in the lightweight division. And he's been through a lot of crazy wars and suffered his fair share of knockouts as well. You would expect him to be just bad by now and just fodder.
And also like a very attributes-based fighter.
Certainly, yeah.
He basically made a lot of his career as just being blazingly quick.
Yeah. But you might expect him to have a fall off like a Roy Jones Jr. But he has, in fact, remained a pretty good MMA kickboxer the entire time. In fact, he has, I think, because he has gotten substantially craftier. He's still the same kind of essentially frustrating guy that he's always been. But he's sort of, over time, just sort of become the underdog by default that I can't help but kind of root for.
Yeah, and, stuff like his fight against Mark Jacasey is just like a classic, classy, controlling veteran win over a man who's like a foot taller and 20 pounds heavier than you and in the prime of their athletic career. And you can't not like that when you see it, right?
Right.
Just putting the experience to good use.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, are you running with the idea that Zellhuber's entire game is going to collapse simply because he's fighting an old southpaw?
Yeah, I'm actually going to run with that.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that he's going to look dreadful against southpaw, and he's going to suddenly start swinging stupid overhands, and everyone's going to be like, what happened to this guy between this fight and the last one? And and then like Michael Johnson's just gonna start like throwing long weird rights to the body, and he'll land a few right hooks and like a left hand, and he'll be looking really good, and then he'll just get instantly KO'd with like 20 seconds left in round 3.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of the thing I'm thinking is at this point, like, even if it is a fight where, I mean, it wouldn't even have to be the southpaw thing for it to start off like frustratingly bad from Zellhuber, right? Where he's just like not using his jab. I'm not sure we'll have an answer to the can he jab a southpaw question until the 7-minute mark, when he realizes he's supposed to hit his opponent. But even if that is the case, how sort of softly does Michael Johnson have to be beating him for Zellhuber to not just hit upon the idea of going after him? And
yeah, I think he'll just like throw some big flying knee at some point or something like that. And Zellhuber, even a shittier version of Zellhuber, like he's a guy who punches the body. He moves around pretty well. Like I said, his combination punching is really nice. So even if he's like, it turns into right hand man, there's still going to be some sneaky left hooks coming behind that right hand. There's going to be an uppercut playing off of it. He's quite willing to put the pressure on when he gets to the late stage of a fight. And, for all that I have enjoyed seeing Michael Johnson, continually like recasting himself into a crafty old man, the fights he's won have not been against good fighters. This is true.
And all the good fighters he's fought have beaten him.
Yep. And some not so good.
Yeah. And some not so good too. Right. So I simply have to pick Zellhuber. It's more of an age pick than anything else, really.
Yeah. Like, Michael Johnson says, I don't trust how much he has to scare someone like Zellhuber off at this point.
Exactly.
You look back at Michael Johnson in his prime, look back at him beating Tony Ferguson's ass.
Right.
Like, just getting inside his reach and just cooking him.
Knocking out Dustin Poirier.
Yep. And that is pretty much just not there anymore.
Right.
The idea that this guy, he's still, his last fight was a knockout, but the blazing speed and the kind of shocking KOs that come with it are not there anymore. And so, yeah, it's just going to be, in these kind of fights against someone with genuine dynamism, you just got to predict it to be like the Josh Emmett fight, where even if he's controlling him, even if he's managing to get a slower paced fight out of him and winning on experience, at some point,
right,
Zellhuber just has to go after him,
pretty much, and it will probably work.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's UFC 318. We'll see. I gotta say, I can't lie. I'm sensitive to your fears about it, Phil. I am looking forward to Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier 3. If nothing else,
how can you not?
Yeah, I love both of them dearly. Both have given us so many incredible fights and achievements, and God knows their last meeting was an epic. With very few other fights to compare it to. So, I'm looking forward to it, even if everything else feels like a strange sort of slapped together pay-per-view, even if it feels like a card which really, really needs a fight like Holloway Poirier 3 at the top, for anyone to even consider paying for it. I am looking forward to Holloway Poirier, and I can, fingers crossed, we have some really cool shit and some wonderful memories to share when we come back for next week's episode.
Yeah.
It's Robert Whittaker versus Ranier de Ridder after that.
Boy.
The beating.
Man, I don't want to pick Ranier de Ridder over Robert Whittaker. I don't want to.
Well, you have to, Phil. Unfortunately, you have to. You
Yes,
will be required.
I do.
You will be required to do it, and I will see to it. Anyway, that's for next week. Until then, hey, check out my Substack. I had a 2-part breakdown of Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. I'm working on another piece now, which I hope to get up this week, unrelated to anything current events in the UFC, which is good because God knows it takes me an age to finish an article these days. But you can find part 1 of my Van Royval breakdown for free on my Substack, and part 2 is sadly behind the paywall, but you can still read part of it, even if you're not a subscriber. That's facepunching.substack.com. And support us on the Heavy Hands Patreon, where we will have Heavy Hanka with Miguel Class returning. The July Sumo tournament has just begun. So in about a week's time, we will be talking to you about that. And find Phil and I on social media. Phil is at Evil Greg Jackson, and I am at Boxing Bush on Twitter. And you can also find me on Blue Sky at King Typo. Until next week, if you came here today for the finer points of face punching, you came to the right place. This has been Heavy Hands.